Awesome. So welcome, guys. Great to see you here. And in this session, we are going to learn and practice critical validation, non-critical validation techniques that help create safe space. And safe space, creating safe space, psychologically safe space, is a key ingredient in creating high-performing teams and functioning for team engagement and team building. I'm going to facilitate this session with my friend G. Clark.
Hello.
And so I am executive coach and I work with businesses and individuals. I have 2 masters in physics and electrical and computer engineering. I have taught physics at undergraduate level. I'm a certified mind-body therapist, and I am excited to be here. So I honed my psychological safety skills while mountain climbing in the Himalayas, while crevasse crossing, rock climbing, ice wall climbing. And I got coached by many pioneers in mountaineering in India. So psychological safety is not a mystery, but it is created by learning specific skill sets, practicing them, and then using them appropriately. Many of my clients do not come from mountaineering background. So I use model of tennis learning. So in tennis, we learn backhand and forehand and we practice it and then we use them appropriately. So today we have planned to practice 2 skills about non-critical validation. And we will tell you about those skills. G and I, we will demonstrate those skills, and then we will practice it, all 4 of us together. So G, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us about today's plan?
Sure. So my name is G, and I help startups in a chief of staff role. I do trainings and coaching with teams and individuals. I train in leadership skills and effective communications, and definitely multicultural background as well, how for multicultural teams to work together. I am excited to be here and help Anagha out in leading this session. So what we are going to do today is first Anagha will tell a story, some background. Then we are going to practice the first skill, and we will be talking about how to validate. And we will demo, Anagha and me will demo you that skill, and then you will get to practice that in a group as well. And after that, we will talk about another tool, another skill of active listening, and we'll get to practice that as well. I think it's crucial right now in this remote environment to have those skills. And then we will see, what you learned today and wrap things up and for you to take home and use it in your professional life.
Awesome. Thank you, G. So one of the resources that makes a team stronger is when everybody contributes and is encouraged to develop their full capacity of creativity and speaking out. And all the teams have members on them that naturally don't contribute or may have their voice in their head that's judgmental. And what we are going to practice is how externally we can support them um, to overcome this inhibition of speaking up. So the technique, this first technique we call is verbal encouragement. And or we can also say validation. And many times when we think about validation, we think that that means we agree with that person or we are committed to do it. And at this place, I'm going to separate those, and I'm going to say, when you encourage and say great idea, you are just encouraging them to speak up, and you're not agreeing with them or committed to doing that particular activity or that particular way. So G and I will demonstrate the technique, and then we will practice it together. So hi, Sophie, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
So G, we are going to take example of crossing a river. How can we cross a river? And G is going to tell her idea about how we can cross a river, and I'm going to validate it. So listen to us, and then we will do it again.
Okay. So I see canoes are standing there. Why don't we grab a canoe and jump and cross the river by canoe?
Great idea, G. I love canoeing. So now we are going to switch roles, and I'm going to give idea to G, and she will validate the idea. So I would like to take a bridge and cross over the river.
Oh, that's such a great idea. Let's go and cross the river by bridge.
Awesome. So now you get the idea about how to validate, and so that they feel comfortable that what they're saying has a value. And people who have inhibitions talking up, this external encouragement works really well. So let's try it with someone else. Who would like to volunteer? Amber, would you like to try?
I can give it a go.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to give you idea and you will validate. Let's take a boat across the river.
A boat across the river. Okay. How do you imagine that working?
Great. So let's take a moment and think about how you would like to validate. What I heard is you turned it into a question. How do you imagine it's working?
Yes.
And instead of turning it in a question, how would you just validate by saying great idea?
That could work. That's one way to do it. What's another?
Right. So we will talk about another technique, but this is like a learning forehand when you are when we go to learn tennis. And saying, okay, this is how you do forehand, this is how you hold racket, and this is how you swing your arm. So that's the technique we are practicing.
I hear that you'd like to take a boat across the river. That's a great idea.
Awesome. Great. Awesome. So Hardik, would you like to try that?
Yeah, sure. So I would just say like, oh, that's a great idea. And I think that's gonna help us achieve our goals. So why not?
Awesome. Great. Sophie?
I mean, I guess I'd be saying the same thing. That's a great idea. Is there anything I can do to help you?
Awesome. Awesome. So G, would you like to take another example and practice it again? We will do it one more time and then we will move on to the next one.
Okay. So what do you think about digging a tunnel under the river to cross that way? I am trying to look for some creative solutions.
So take a moment and think about digging a tunnel under the river because she really wants to be creative. And how would you validate that? Sophie, would you like to go?
I'm sorry. I'm multitasking and I got pulled away for a second.
Sure. So G, would you like to say it again?
Sure. So I am really wanting a creative way to cross the river, and I'm choosing to dig a tunnel under the river to get it to cross the river that way. But
I think using a canoe would be a great option for you.
Awesome.
Have you thought of, okay. I'll stop there.
Okay. So G, can you say that one more time and then we'll go and we'll ask Hardik about that.
yeah, so digging a tunnel under the river to cross it that way, I think is another creative solution.
Yeah, so I mean, I would say that's wow, that's amazing and creative idea, right? But I think that might be very time consuming. So let's just cross the river via bridge.
Awesome. Amber, would you like to go and validate that?
I love all the out of the box thinking.
Awesome. Great. So now we will move on to the second technique that we have planned for today. And G, will you lead us in that?
Sure. So this technique is active listening technique. And Anagha, can you share a slide, please?
Thank you. Yes,
and
I can.
so very often when you are in meetings, in professional meetings, in your work environment, or also at home, like everybody tends to speak really fast. And sometimes quite a bit of information is cut off by that because everybody speaks too fast, moving too fast, and we don't get to hear everything that's being said. So today, being here, we are going to practice active listening technique, and that's very helpful, especially in smaller groups. It's easier to do, and it's trickier in big groups. But we will practice in small groups so you can use it and in your professional life. So it's very simple, but sometimes simple things are the best things. So Anagha will tell me something right now, and I will repeat back to make sure I understood her well. So Anagha, tell me some idea that's in your mind right now.
Sure. I'm hungry. I would like to go for lunch.
So what I hear Anagha said is that she is hungry and she would like to go for lunch. Is that right, Anagha?
That is correct. You heard me well.
Great. So as you see, I'm rephrasing. I'm adding, what I hear you say, or what I hear you, how I hear you, what I understand, and then repeating what she says, and then asking her if it's correct. It's a very basic formula that you see on the screen. So Anagha, would you like to ask me another thing?
Sure, I can. So I love kayaking and canoeing, and it would be so wonderful to do that over the weekend.
Okay, so what I hear you say is that you love kayaking and canoeing and that you would love to do that this weekend. Did I understand you right?
Yes, you did.
Wonderful. So, Hardik, would you like to practice active listening with me?
Yeah, I would try.
Okay, so I will state a situation and then you just rephrase to see what you heard.
Sounds good.
So I am going to do a presentation this afternoon that I am trying to wrap up for and prepare.
So what I hear is that you have to do presentation this afternoon, and you are just preparing for that right now. Is that correct?
Yep, you got it right.
Thanks.
So how does it feel, when you repeat back? How did it feel for you right now when you did that?
It just more clarity.
Okay. Yeah, it does bring more clarity, and it does also, it definitely feels like both parties are on the same side and they know what they are talking, and
Yes.
that it confirms, it kind of validates again that I was heard and that I was being understood. Okay, so Hardik, please think of something you would like to say, and Amber, can you validate, please?
Yep. So I have a meeting this afternoon at 2 p.m. and I have to prepare for that.
Sounds like you're going to have a busy day prepping for your 2 p.m. meeting.
Yep, sounds good.
Great. Yeah, and why don't you come up with your own example? You don't have to keep my example. So think of your own example, Hardik, and yeah, and Amber will validate again.
So this weekend, I'm going to Baltimore City and just try some new restaurant.
Sounds like an exciting adventure, going to a new place, trying some new things.
Yep, that's right.
Great. So Hardik, how did it feel for you being validated?
Yeah, feels great. Feels like Amber heard me and she exactly validated what I was trying to say. So it feels great.
Okay, great. So Amber, why don't you think of a statement, and Sophie, please validate Amber.
Sophie is not here, G.
Oh, okay. Okay, yes, I just saw the message.
Oh, is she here? There are 5. I don't see.
Yeah, she's.
I have to run for a 12:30 meeting. My apologies.
Okay. Thanks a lot for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so Amber, why don't you say your statement, and Anagha, please validate her. please active listen to her.
Coming up with a statement is harder than validating it.
You don't make it complicated, just whatever comes to your mind.
I am working on a lot of things simultaneously and trying to maintain what I'm supposed to be focused on.
So Amber, what I hear you say is you are working on a lot of things simultaneously and trying to focus on things. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Okay, so Amber, did you feel more listened to by how Anagha repeated back, and did it make you feel more comfortable?
She definitely heard me. It was nice in this world where we're moving fast to have someone pause long enough to actually hear what you have to say and not just come in with their own response.
Definitely. Great. And Anagha, how did it feel for you?
Well, I notice how challenging it is to actually listen and then say it back. And I agree with what Amber said, that in this fast world, we hear whatever words we manage to hear and respond to those words, rather than taking time to understand and agree that, oh, this is what I said, this is the other person said, and we agree on that, and then taking it forward. And I do see, as I was doing this, I do see that, you know, why people might feel defensive if they are not heard properly. And then the challenges that come up in communication because of this.
Yes, definitely. I definitely felt like, you know, working with big teams, that it's always, you know, it's not miscommunication, but it just haven't been listened to. The things just come in through one ear and leave through the other one. And I think slowing down in general would be such a good practice in general, in corporations and work environment. And I know we have to rush, but to really spending some time, and especially if you have your team, your one-on-ones, to practice this technique to make sure that, you know, we are getting and not missing all the important thoughts that may be shared with us.
Right. And as I'm hearing you, G, what's coming up to me, the first slide that I shared in this is taken by me. So I'll go back to that picture. And so I took this picture at 11,000 feet in the Himalayas. And this is my first view of seeing Himalayan mountain peaks and how it feels. And you see there are 10 tents in there where we used to sleep in. And it took us about 8 days to get to 11,000 feet from 4,000 feet height. So on average, we gained 1,000 feet by walking, and it was literally like, this used to be my load, like, you know, all our safety equipment and everything, personal gears, and it was one step at a time. And taking that time to make sure you are not falling and you are steady and stay upright is more efficient than making something faster. Because it does take time. I can say this, it does take time to get up when we fall, or when we don't pay attention that, do I have enough friction to do rock climbing, and can I stay there? And making sure that all the safety gears are there and used properly. And any of these places, if we go faster than that, things don't work. If I have to talk about high-performing teams, there is so much focus on doing fast, but you still need 30, 40 minutes, 1 hour to bake a cake, and there is no way to do it faster than that. So there is a limit on how fast we can do things.
Yeah, I really like your experience example here. I was the opposite. I was always going fast, 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 and now I'm really trying to slow down because I saw the value of that. But this is a very great physical example that you would not have been able to climb that mountain if you went fast.
Right, and each activity needs adequate time, and doing faster than that will be half-baked.
Yep.
So anything, Hardik or Amber, you have that resonates with you?
Just that we always are trying to do a million things at once, especially, and being able to slow down enough to really listen to people is requires dedication
And maybe practice.
and practice. It requires building kind of those micro habits.
Right.
Yeah, I love the micro habits and then stacking them up on top of each other really to help you out. But just noticing that you need that is already one big step towards it.
Yeah, that's, noticing is the first step to getting there. How about you, Hardik? Is there anything that is coming up for you as you are hearing all this?
I just agree what you said, Amber said, and sometimes we try to do fast things, but it's gonna take a time. What is it supposed to take? So, and I see that a lot in software development when we have deadlines, but people expect to get it done so quickly, but it's gonna take a time. What is supposed to?
Right. And as I'm listening to both of you, another thing that is coming up is slowing down and driving. Like when we are driving, we don't keep driving faster and faster and hope to get to our destination sooner. But when we see there is a turn, we put our foot on a brake and start slowing down. And the only way to get there faster if we slow down enough on a turn.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And this, at least, starting with this concept that having a permission to slow down, because if we go too fast here, we might crash and burn.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, that's what happened, in this remote work environment, how people burned out because everybody had to prove themselves in this work environment. We had to prove, yes, I can be effective, efficient working from home the last couple of years. And that's why we are facing this big thing of going back to the offices, because people did enjoy, they adjusted to the environment. And they figured out how to be effective. They set their lives around that. And it wasn't a straightforward process, for sure, when we all got to remote environment. And
right.
Being faster and having more meetings online was very, having different effect when meeting with people, team members in a room. So definitely
Right.
we have to adjust to those environments that we have. And there is so much human capacity. There are so many hours in a day, but then, there is so much that a human can handle. And find best ways to help ourselves is really, we have to take care of ourselves so we can be better for our teams. Definitely.
So as we move forward, What are the applications of these two examples, positive validation and active listening or repeating back? You can think of like where you can apply it or how you can apply it.
So I think we can apply this while talking to our colleagues in meetings, talking to leadership even, so I think those are both very good technique, and thanks for sharing with us today.
You are very welcome.
I think it's a great reminder that people want to leave a situation with you feeling whole and not feeling like you countered each thing they said or told them they were wrong or didn't take the time to really even care enough to hear them to begin with.
Yeah, I like the way you expressed it, like feeling whole after the conversation. That's a great way of saying it.
Yeah, and I also felt like being here with you and practicing these techniques, I got closer to you even not knowing you before, because I did felt being listened to. And I have been practicing these techniques, with my boss and my team. When I do it, it works. So there is a little reminder in my mind. I have to do it more often in more situations to really build that team bonding and a personal one-on-one relationship at work, or even in the daily life, that we can use these techniques and to make a difference.
Right. And this is reminding me, like when I take time to repeat it back, many times it takes us to more clarity, because there are times, one thing we didn't practice, G, is intentionally not repeating it back and seeing how it goes.
Sure, that's a great
Would
idea.
you like to try that?
Sure.
Let's do that.
Okay, Anagha. So, yeah, so it's a beautiful day today. I want to jump off this call, and instead of walking, I would like to head on a bike ride.
Oh, what I hear you say is you don't like this call. Am I getting it right?
No, actually, what I said was that I am looking forward to I already enjoyed the call, but I'm going to reward myself and get on a bike ride afterwards.
Oh, what I hear you say is you enjoy this call, but you would like to go on a bike ride after this call. Did I get that right?
Yes. Instead of, for me to continue going to more meetings, I can allow myself to go on a bike ride this afternoon.
Oh, what I hear is instead of going for more meetings, you would like to go on a bike ride and enjoy yourself after this meeting.
Yes.
Okay,
you heard
great.
it right. Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
So how was that? How was that to hear for both of you?
Yeah, it was. Oh, for them. Okay, great.
Yeah, you can go.
No, go ahead, Hardik.
Yeah, so I felt like it just like misheard, seems like you are not listening to G, and that I think if G wanna share something more, she not gonna share because she thinks you're not listening to her.
Yeah.
Right. Great observation.
Yeah. I would say it's more than that. Sometimes we make something personal and we hear what it means to us. So she's just saying, I want to call it a day and go on a bike ride. and there's a value attributed to that that's personal. You're saying you
Right.
don't like working, you know, you don't want to be in the meeting, and I should feel affronted by that.
Right.
Great observation.
And for me, it felt like being on two different planets, you know, that seemed like I communicated very clearly, and what got to her head seemed like it was totally something different. And I did not want to confront her so much because, you know, I felt like it was very clear already what I stated. So it's definitely, there is a fine line, you know, how you develop that relationship afterwards, what steps to take. It's so easy to use the wrong words and say the wrong thing, and then it's so hard to fix, and to fix our communication and to fix, you know, whatever relationship we had, because it felt like it was cut off right there with scissors, you know, like somebody took and cut, you know, the connection we had prior to. And it's very kind of, I felt even lost, even though I knew we are going to practice it.
Right. And as I heard all three of you, the voice that came in my head was, you know, we go away from having conversations thinking, but I didn't say that, but I didn't say that. And we don't know how to fix that, you know, that I didn't say it. And then it stays in our mind, and we carry it with us whole day or next few days. And next time we see that same person, that stays in the background, that, oh, you know, this is what they imagine about me, and no way of clarifying without having these techniques to actually practice. And, you know, at least one person, but if both people practice in a team, it's easier to not like get irritated, but realizing, oh, we are not, there is something missing in the communication, so let's go back and try again. And it helps reduce the stress, even though it can be challenging, but it reduces the stress when we know that we have a technique and we need to try it few times, or, oh, we can't figure it out, let's go someone who can coach us in that with this and help us out.
Yeah, definitely. I have been in situations at work in a corporate environment where I even, you know, did not go back to a person to talk about it because I thought that she would not be able to understand me. That was before I knew these techniques. And now I figured out that it's much more effective if I think that somebody does not understand me to go and approach them to clarify that, because the story they're telling themselves may be very, very, very different compared to what I imagine. So that's why going back and using this technique to clarify, so we can continue having effective relationship and communication moving forward.
Yeah. So how about we try this intentional miscommunication and practice it a couple of times before we wrap up this session.
Great. Okay, so Hardik, would you like to communicate something to Amber, and when Amber responds?
Yeah, I can try. Let me think. So I have a meeting tomorrow, 9 a.m. But instead of that meeting, I wanna complete my work and not join that meeting.
Sounds like you really dislike that meeting and don't want to go.
I meant to say is that that meeting I have optional. It's not gonna make much impact if I join or not, but I have some other work which I need to complete in the sprint, which I need to complete by Tuesday. So that's why I'm not gonna go.
So it sounds like you have other priorities that really require your attention, and you're figuring out where the best place for you to be at that time is.
Yeah, that's correct.
Awesome. Great
Great.
job.
It was hard to come up with this.
So how did it feel for you, Hardik?
So yeah, first time I felt like misheard, but the second time talking about it and Ember clarified. So now it feels more clear. We didn't have any miscommunication, feels like.
Okay, great. What about right now, Amber? Why don't you bring up a topic, and Anagha, why don't you respond to her?
Sure.
Well, I'm not sure if I need practice figuring out how to miscommunicate. I do it all the time.
Okay.
So would you like to do it the other way and practice getting it and validating?
That was just also my statement.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead. So we are on. That way I will
See,
put on
you all
my
you
participant hat.
all made it the thing.
Okay, go ahead. Now I will put on my participant hat and practice with you.
Go for it.
Say it again.
I don't know that I need to practice miscommunicating. I do it all the time.
So what I hear you, Amber, is you don't like to practice.
That was funny. What I'm attempting to say is that I'd prefer to practice doing it right.
So what I hear you say is you prefer to practice and doing it right. Did I get it correctly?
Yes.
Great. So how did it feel to be misunderstood in communication, Amber?
Well, in this situation, funny, but usually it's very painful. Normally it's,
Yeah.
especially because it's usually the other person is taking it the wrong way and misconstruing it because they care about it. And now they feel they have their own set of emotions and interpretations. And not only do you feel misunderstood, you're also trying to bring them to a new understanding. And so it's painful on both fronts.
Yeah, very true. Very, very true. I know this, this is a very lighthearted situation, but that's not what we face, in daily life sometimes. Sometimes it's great to have a laugh, but often you cannot do that. So Anagha, how did it feel for you?
Well, it's very interesting for me to play this role because most of the time I'm in the other role, clarifying and saying, oh, I didn't get it. Can you tell me again? Or, I missed it. So actually being in this other role is just for me like, okay, what am I saying here?
Yeah.
But I'm also hearing you and it feels like, how would it feel if your teams are trained to do this back and forth and have a laugh where things are not at stake, where you are not going to fall over the cliff, but practice it in a lighter environment so that you will be able to use it when it's crucial to the communication.
Yeah, it definitely helps to be preemptive and practice in settings where it's not a big deal. Because when it matters, it's a lot harder to do it right. Emotions are involved.
Right.
Yeah, and the practice, when it gets natural for us, when we can definitely pick up the tool and use it. So that's also, practice as much as you can. in your work environment and try to train your team members. You know, if you are a leader, you know, when you can do a little training, you know, when you have a moment. If it's more one-on-one meetings you have, then also you can practice using that technique, and I'm pretty sure people will respond to that. And it will take time, but you know, I worked with myself doing that a lot, and now I'm just seeing the results, you know.
Right, and I'm wondering, as I'm hearing this, I'm wondering, like, you know, is there any curious? Is there any study that how much projects get delayed because of not being able to communicate effectively and having all these voices and impressions of people that might be intentional, may not be intentional, and carrying it with us? How much stress we carry with us because of not having these skills and techniques
Yeah.
in our toolbox.
A lot, I would say.
And maybe just having practicing these techniques will help team members achieve complete their projects in time then. So we have few more minutes left and we want to wrap up. Is there anything you would like to say to conclude this session?
Thanks for offering it. Always good to think about these things. Take a pause and hone our skills.
Yeah, and I want to applaud you for joining in, because without joining in and taking your time, there was no chance, no danger of knowing anything about this. So thank you for joining in and coming in.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you, and G sharing these techniques, and I really enjoyed this session. Appreciate it.
Great.
Well, thank you for coming in, and give yourself big pat on the back for joining in and taking time out of your busy day.
Thanks, guys. Great participation, and try to use the tools. It will pay off, I'm pretty sure.
And
Thank
if
you.
you have any questions or would like to connect with us, then let me take a moment, 1 second, and then we will wrap up. Okay, here we go. So you can connect with us, and if you have any questions, you would like help, we'll be happy to help you. Thank you for joining in.
Yeah,
Great.
thanks
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a
Have a good
wonderful
day.
day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.